with you, Mr. Nance?
There is someone trying to join right now. It just was taking.
Okay.
The person labeled Regina, is that Miss Andrews? You're muted.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. It's Madison Andrews.
Okay, I'm gonna change your name on here.
Judge, briefly, is there going to be a time limit on testimony or
Yes, 30 minutes aside.
30 minutes? Thank you, Judge.
Right, so whose motion was this? Was this Mr. Burks?
Well, Judge, I think we both pled for temporary orders, our initial pleadings, but we did the notice, so we'd like to be able to proceed first if that's okay with the court.
All right. We're in clause number 106809-CC in the interest of VP, a child. Mr. Weitzel, who's your first witness?
Your Honor, I'll call James Burks.
All right, Mr. Burks, please unmute. And for the record, both sides are going to get 30 minutes.
Can everybody hear me fine?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Mr. Burks, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony that you are about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. You may lower your hand. Please state your name for the record and spell your name.
It's James Burks, James, and my last name is Burks, Burks.
All right. Thank you. You're a witness.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Burks, you're here asking the court today to give you sole managing conservatorship of your daughter Paisley. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, and you are the father of Paisley. You have no dispute about that. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And I guess the first things first, how are you supporting yourself financially right now?
I'm on unemployment, and so I've been using the money from that to pay the little bills I have and just make sure me and Paisley have everything we need.
Okay. How much do you make, or how much are you getting for unemployment?
A little bit over 2,000 a month.
Do you get paid monthly or bi-monthly, or how does that work?
Bi-weekly.
Bi-weekly, okay. And are you looking for work? Are you in school? What are you doing?
I'm in classes at the current moment, trying to get a certification so that I can get a better paying job for when I go back to work. I'm taking classes to be a computer user support specialist.
And where are you doing those?
With ACI learning.
Okay. And when did you start doing those?
I've been at it for a few months, maybe 2-3 months at this point.
Okay. So you're taking steps to improve your financial situation and your life. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you're also looking for employment as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay. But has it been difficult to find employment?
The school that I'm actually with has told me that they are going to help me find a job when I get out, so I'm not worried about it. I feel like it shouldn't be too difficult. I just want to get the proper training so I know what I'm doing.
Certainly. And where are you currently living?
I live in Forney, Texas with my parents.
Okay. Do you have an address?
Yes, it's 1012 Alexa Drive, and that's Forney, Texas, 75126.
And what kind of house? Is it a house, apartment?
It's a house.
And what kind of house?
Um,
How many bedrooms does it have?
it has 5 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms, maybe 6 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms.
Okay, and if you were to be awarded primary custody, I'm sorry, sole managing conservatorship of Paisley, would she have a bed at that house?
Yeah, she has her own bed.
Okay, and how old is Paisley?
Paisley is 1 year and a month at this point.
And are there other people residing in that house?
Yes.
Who are the people that are residing in the house?
My brother, his fiance, and they have 2 children. And then my mother and father, they live downstairs.
Okay. And so would you agree that you are able to financially support Paisley, given your current financial situation?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And as far as family members, would they be able to help you if you needed help caring for Paisley or needed her to be watched or anything like that?
Yes, sir.
Um, Now, obviously, you have some concerns about Madison, and I want to talk to the judge about that a little bit, okay? Do you, in your experience with Madison, have you noticed any mental health issues?
A few times, actually.
And can you describe to the judge what your concerns are?
Like one of the major reasons that I just wanted to go ahead and get Paisley out of the situation she's in is because Madison had called me a while back and said, ain't nobody gonna have this effing baby. And it was like, what does that mean? What is that supposed to mean? That was my first issue. The second issue has been Madison's just been really emotionally unstable lately because of things that are happening between her and her mom. And she just has been dropping Paisley off with me constantly, saying that she can't deal with her. Paisley's too much. And it seems like she's whooping her for reasons that don't make sense to me.
Okay. In the past, has she attempted suicide?
Yes, multiple times, and like around me, multiple times alone.
Okay. And she actually at one point sent you a picture of her cutting her wrist. Is that correct?
Yes, and she sent me pictures of pills that she was about to take too, like handfuls of pills.
Do you know if she's supposed to be taking medication?
She is supposed to be like when she went to Green Oaks, she was supposed to be taking medication. I think she started for a while and got off. And when I first met her, I didn't know her to be taking any medication at all.
Okay. Have you noticed any health problems with Paisley?
Madison sent Paisley over here maybe 3 times, and all 3 times, this was after the 3 weeks originally that I had her. Madison sent her over here 3 times, and all 3 times she had different health issues. One time she had, I guess, some type of a virus and really bad diarrhea. Another time was vaginosis. And then she tried to say that it had come from my house. And I was like, why would she have vaginosis from here when I just gave her a bath? You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to figure out what's going on. This is like a day or two after she's been home, and you're saying that she has gotten vaginosis. You're saying it came from me. She called me crying and trying to say that I like touched my daughter at first. And that's what scared me. And I was like, what are you talking about? You need to take her to a doctor. She got her to the doctor. The doctor told her it was vaginosis from her not being cleaned properly.
Okay.
And
as far, and we don't have a lot of time, James, so I'm just gonna,
yeah.
Gonna try to hurry this along. As far as I mean, the court is aware that in the opposing counsel is aware that you have a case pending against you for assault, family violence in a misdemeanor court in Dallas against Madison. So, I mean, I've talked to you about, testifying and not testifying, answer questions about that. Are you willing to answer questions about that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And did you ever commit any type of family violence against Madison Andrews?
No, sir.
Okay. And obviously there was a video of that. Is that right?
Yes.
There is some video of what happened there. And obviously we're going to try to get into that. But at any point during that confrontation, did you assault her or did you do anything?
No, there was a point where she was punching me in my face multiple times, and I hugged her to stop her from swinging so much. That was one of the things I did. Another time she had been hitting me and we had fallen on the floor after I'd hugged her. And I jumped on her back. I like jumped on her, sat on her butt and like put my hands on her back, asking her to calm down, like, please calm down. That was it.
So anything that you did was to simply defend yourself. Is that my understanding? Is that?
Yes. Yes, sir.
And if you did touch her in any way, it was just to simply restrain her to keep her from hitting you.
Yes, sir.
And CPS initially investigated, in fact, after you were arrested, they initially investigated the case. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And ultimately CPS left Paisley in your custody. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then after that, that's when Miss Andrews filed for the temporary restraining order in Kaufman County and was ultimately granted that, issued a writ. And that's when you voluntarily relinquished Paisley back to her once they had gotten the writ. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you did that because the court ordered you to do it and you're going to follow court orders. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you understand that the court doesn't have to give you sole managing conservatorship and doesn't have, and if they don't, then you have to live with what the court does.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you're going to follow the court orders and do what you're supposed to do.
Yes, sir.
Judge, can I get a time check?
21:33.
Okay. I'll pass the witness, Judge.
Right, Cross.
Pass witness, Judge.
No questions?
No.
All right.
Judge, may I?
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Burks, my name is Lorna Bedard. I'm with the Attorney General's office. Do you know the current health coverage that Paisley has?
I think she's with Medicaid through the state.
And who applied for her Medicaid? Was it you or was it Miss Andrews?
I think we've both tried. I had her for 3 weeks for a while in the beginning, and I tried there. But they told me that there was some other paperwork that had to be done, so they were going to send it to me in the mail, and then Madison got her back within the next week.
So who has the current Medicaid that you just mentioned she has? Is it you or Miss Andrews?
To my recollection, she does because she's been taking her to the doctor.
And you said that you get unemployment. Our records show that your unemployment is $501 per week. Does that sound about correct? That's $2,004 a month.
Yes.
Do you have any other minor children besides Paisley?
No, ma'am.
And you and Miss Andrews signed an acknowledgement of paternity for Paisley when she was born. Does that sound correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And Paisley's a year old?
Yes, ma'am.
And according to the acknowledgement of paternity that you all signed, it looks like you both were living at Alexa Drive in Forney when she was born. Is that true?
Yes, ma'am. We were staying in my house.
Okay. And so when did you all separate?
Madison had hit me at our apartment, and after that I had left. I had to hurry up and get out of there because I was being beat on, basically. And
What
so
month and year was that you all separated?
December 22nd of 2020.
Okay. So
About 9 a.m.
December 2020, and when you left, did you take Paisley with you or did Paisley stay with Miss Andrews?
I took Paisley and I ran. I came to my mom's house.
And Paisley didn't leave your possession until after the writ of attachment was signed, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Pass this witness.
Mr. Weitzel.
I have nothing further with Mr. Burks.
All right. Mr. Nance.
Nothing further this time.
All right. Next witness.
Your Honor, I don't know if she's in the waiting room. I do have Mr. Burks's mother, Jeannie Askew. I asked her to log on. I don't know if she's in a waiting room or if she's on or not.
It's not.
She's not in the waiting room? Okay. Well, then that's my only witness, Judge.
Okay. All right. Mr. Nance.
Judge will rest on our side.
Okay, I figured. I'm so sorry. Mr. Nance, witnesses.
That was going to be my question. Thank you, Your Honor. I'm going to call Madison Andrews.
All right, Miss Andrews, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Please state your name for the record and spell your name.
Madison Andrews, MADISYN
Right, your witness.
How old is your daughter, Madison?
She's 13 months.
All right. And then were y'all living together in December of 2020?
Yes, in Dallas at our apartment.
And that was you and Paisley and Mr. Burks, is that right?
Yes.
And then what happened that precipitated the breakup?
December 22nd, we had an argument early morning and it got verbal and physical. So I decided to record, and he had pushed my arm down from the phone, tackled me, put me in a chokehold with his arm. We were wrestling on the floor, and I got free, and he sat on top of me until I could not breathe.
Okay. And then one of you two guys, did y'all call the police out?
I did.
I called the police.
Sir, just a minute. Ms. Andrews is testifying at this time, Mr. Burke, okay? Go ahead, Ms. Andrews.
I called the police after I initially called the police for he pushed me on top of my child. So I called the police for that, but they told me to make a statement.
Okay. And then what else did they do while they were out there?
While they were out there, they took pictures. They took pictures of the apartment. They took pictures of my body. At that time, I didn't have any bruises. They said if any bruises arise, take pictures. And they took a statement. And I believe Mr. Burks had come back as soon as they were starting to leave.
Okay. And then what happened?
They arrested him. They asked questions. They asked what happened, and they took him.
All right. So they asked you questions, and they asked Mr. Burks questions.
Mm-hmm. When he had came back, he was not with Paisley. Paisley was at his mom's house.
I understand that. But what I asked you is, the police talked to you, and then they talked to Mr. Burks first, and then they arrested Mr. Burks. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And is that when you had the mark on your face?
That was about 2 hours after they had left. 2 hours after they had left.
Okay. Is that when you got you were struck on your face and on your arm? Is that right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Judge, can I share my screen?
Yes.
You have it disabled, Your Honor.
Give me 1 second. Okay, you should be able to share now.
I'm showing you what I have marked as our exhibit A. Can you see that? Madison?
Yes, I think you need to scroll it down.
Okay. Let me reduce the size a little bit too. That might help some too. That's all the way down.
It's all the way down.
Was that picture taken of you December 22nd?
Yes. You can't see the bruise on my neck right here, Brad.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you want to go down some? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You talking about that?
Yeah.
And how did you get that bruise?
That was from his arm right here. While we were on the ground, his arm was right here and I was trying to get free.
Right.
That's where I believe it's from.
Is he larger than you, Madison?
Very,
Is he stronger than you?
very.
Is that an accurate picture of what you look like on December 22nd, 2020?
Yes.
We're going to offer this as it'd be a respondent's A, Your Honor.
No objection, Judge. No objection, Judge.
Respondents A is admitted.
And then Ms. Andrews, you've also included, I marked this as Exhibit B. Can you tell the court what this is?
That is from the first time we had a physical altercation when I was pregnant. And that was the first time he did choke me. He had put his arms up, or he had held me with his arms like this up against the wall. And then we had gotten on the floor and wrestled, and he had choked me. But that was the bruise that I took a picture of because I needed evidence.
Okay. And what day did that happen?
That was I'm sorry, Brad, that was on the affidavit and I do not have that exact date.
Was it in December 2020?
No, it was not.
Was it
It
before
was
that?
when
or
I
after?
was, it was when I was, it was when I was pregnant. It was when I was about 5 months pregnant.
Okay, it's when you and he were together, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And then how long did you guys live together for 5 months? Well, no, how long did y'all live together before y'all separated?
We lived together for a little bit over a year.
All right. And it ended in December 2020, right?
Yes.
How old was Paisley then?
9 months.
Okay. And did you testify a minute ago, Mr. Burks got possession of Paisley because he grabbed her when after the fight and ran and took him to his mother's? Is that what happened?
Yes, I had no say so. I had no way of getting her. He just picked her up and left. I couldn't get her.
And did you try to contact him about getting possession of your daughter again?
Yes, for those whole 3 weeks, I begged, I pleaded, I went to their house, I knocked on the door, I contacted his whole family to see my daughter,
What
to
was
get
the
a
response?
picture.
What was the response that you got from them?
Most of it was leave me alone. His mom said that it was between us and she really couldn't do anything. He didn't answer most of the time. So
Did you get to see or talk to your daughter during that 3 weeks?
no, and I missed her first Christmas.
I'm sorry. And then you eventually got possession of your daughter again, didn't you?
Yes.
How did you accomplish that?
It was hard. Police wouldn't help after we got the restraining order for Paisley. And then after we got the writ was really when I could get her, because James wouldn't let me see her, wouldn't let me talk to her. He wouldn't give her to me without a court order.
All right. And so you got a court order from Judge Gray, is that right?
Yes.
All right. So you guys have been separated from December 22nd until today, is that right?
Yes.
Roughly 5 months.
Yes.
How much child support have you received during that time?
Objection. Your Honor.
Wait,
Objection, Your Honor.
wait. What is the objection?
Well, Your Honor, we had I'm gonna object as to, I guess, misleading the court. I mean, we had an agreement that we would stay the child support until we had a temporary orders hearing. So I don't think, I'm gonna object as to relevance at this time.
Has there been any orders for child support?
No, there has not, Judge.
Mr. Nance?
There's no order, no, if there was agreement, it would have to be filed with the court, Your Honor.
All right. Next question. Sustained.
Thank you, Judge.
And then do you know if that's correct, what Mr. Burke says, that he earns $500 a week?
Yes.
All right. Do you know whether or not he's tried to get a job during this 5-month period?
No. Oh, I do know he has not tried to get a job.
Have you asked him about that?
Yes.
What was his response?
That he would start school and he would stay on unemployment while he was in school, and then he would try to get a job after he was done with school.
Okay, you're a certified nurse aide, is that right?
No, I'm not a certified nurse aide. I'm going to school to be a nursing assistant.
All right. Is that what you do now in your job?
I was an assistant manager at Taco Casa. Right now, I'm starting classes at Eastfield June 6th to be a nursing assistant.
All right. How many hours do you have towards that already?
16 credit hours. And then by the end of the program, I'll have my associates.
So when will you be able to go and practice that occupation? Do you know?
December is when I'll start the actual job process, and I'll start the on-hands training. And then right now I'm just doing classes.
I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also, did the district attorney of Kaufman, did they file a protective order on y'all's case?
They filed a emergency protective order, which was 14 days. I believe it was a day after he got out of jail. And then I went through the paperwork and did everything for the 2-year protective order, but I did not go through with it.
Okay. And Judge, that's attached at the end of Mr. Burks's counterclaim. He's attached protective order papers. I'd like the court to take judicial notice of that.
Any objection?
No objections, Judge.
The court will take judicial notice of is it an emergency protective order?
It was an emergency protective order, Judge.
And that was attached.
I attached it to my answer and counter petition, Judge.
All right. I will take judicial notice of the emergency protective order attached to the answer filed by the respondent.
Thank you, Judge.
And can I continue, Your Honor?
You may.
Do you have your own car, Madison?
Yes, I do.
All right. Tell me about Paisley's environment over at your house.
It's she has everything she needs. She has every possible toy. There's 3 bedrooms here. It's just me and my mom. My mom's retired, so she's here all day to spend time with Paisley whenever I need to go to work, or if I need to run errands, or if I need to go to class. She's here. She has a crib and a playpen. And then when she gets older, if I'm still here, which I plan on not being, I plan on getting my own place. But if I am still here, she does have an opportunity to get her own room.
All right. And where do you live, Madison?
At 6712 Pebble Beach Drive, Plano, Texas, with my mom.
Okay. What police station is that close to?
I couldn't even tell you because this is Denton County, but it's still part of Plano, so I am not sure.
All right. Do you have concerns about the child going with Mr. Burks or Mr. Burks' family?
My only 2 concerns really is just there's so many people over at that house, and there's so many people coming in and out due to COVID. I really don't want her to get sick, and I don't want her to have any health issues, coming back with me. And then my other concern is I don't know how James is going to act over there. I don't know how he's going to be, violent, or if he's going to be okay one day, or if he's going to, be mad at his brother and then just blow up in front of Paisley and she's going to be in harm's way. That's really my concern, are his violent tendencies. And then all the people that are over at the house all the time. His mom works in healthcare, so she's constantly around a lot of COVID people.
All right. And you mentioned your word, he has violent tendencies and he's going to change from Jekyll to Hyde. What makes you think something like that?
Just being around him and how quick he changes. I don't think he's a bad dad, and I don't think he's a bad person, but the violent tendencies are not okay around our child.
Now, as I understand it, what have you guys been doing about visitation? Well, strike that. What have you guys been doing about accessing your daughter while y'all have been separated?
Mm-hmm. So when I had obtained custody of her January, I had asked him if he wanted to see her. I'd asked him if he wanted to come pick her up. I'd asked him if, you wanted to go to a park, we can meet at a park. I could stay in the car and you can meet her. At first, it was really hard to get him to see her because he didn't want to meet up at all. He didn't want to come get his child. But now it's weekend visitations, and he's more comfortable doing weekend visitations. And then sometimes if I have something to do, then I'll ask him, hey, can you watch Paisley for tonight? Or can you watch Paisley for 2 hours? And that's what we've been doing. I haven't let her go over there for like weeks at a time.
Okay, well, let me ask you, try to be a little responsive because we got limited time, like Ms. Wurzel said.
Okay.
Does he pick up the child at 6 o'clock Friday and return to you at 6 o'clock Sunday?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what y'all
Sorry,
do?
is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay.
And does he pick the child up from you and return the child to you?
Yes.
And that what
There
y'all
was
do?
one time that he did not tell me that his mother was going to drop off our child, and that is where the issue came in, where I was being, or I was calling them saying, F you, F that, because there was no communication. There was no communication, and he had his mother drop off our child, and I didn't even know she was gonna do that. And that was the only time that happened.
Okay, but you understand the court's most likely going to order the other people that what lawyers call competent adults that can transport the child. And that could be somebody for you or for Mr. Burks. You don't have an issue
And I
with
would
that.
like to add that his mom has been very, very violent towards me. And that is why I do not want her around me or my child. She can be around the child in Mr. Burks' custody, but
So,
yeah.
so you're asking the court on the visitation that it just be Mr. Burks personally and not anybody else. Is that right or wrong?
Yes, his whole family has threatened me, has called me out of my name. I do not feel safe meeting any of them.
All right. In for the month of May, y'all been doing every weekend. Is that right, Madison?
Yes, sir.
What did y'all do in the month of April?
The month of April, I had her until April 23rd. The whole month of April, I was asking him if he wanted to see his daughter, and he was non-responsive.
Right. And then there was 1 week you said you had a family member that passed. Is that right?
Yes, it was 2 weeks ago. My grandfather had passed, and that was the week where I was asking James to help me with Paisley and if he could watch her for certain days and times.
And he did, and there was no problems, right?
Yes, he did.
All right. As a result of that December 22nd altercation, is that the basis of the assault case in Dallas?
Yes.
And that's the filed case, is that right?
Yes.
Have you been contacted from the detective about that case?
I've been contacted by the district attorney.
And then I want to ask you just real briefly, there's no CPS action going on in this case right now, to your knowledge, is there?
No.
And there's been brought some information about mental health. There's no mental health issues from either you or him going on right now. Is that right?
No.
Is there a reason to be concerned about either you or him in regards to mental health issues?
No.
You're not under the care of a psychiatrist, are you?
I am.
Okay. And does he prescribe medicine for you to take?
Yes.
And you take the medicine?
Yes, I do.
And there's no issue with you taking the medicine, is that right?
No.
When is the last time you went to see him in person?
I haven't seen them in person, I would say, until like a year ago or over a year ago. Since
Okay.
COVID happened, they've been doing Zoom visits.
And then they prescribe the medicine based on the Zoom visit, is that right?
I tell them how the medicine's been helping and how I feel every day-to-day basis. And then I have a counselor or a psychiatrist. I forgot.
Mhm.
He calls me to see how I'm doing.
All right. And are you doing well?
Yes.
Are you threatening to kill yourself, Madison?
No.
Are you threatening to kill your child?
No.
Or did you cut his wrist?
No.
How did his wrist get cut?
I'm sorry, whose wrist?
Mr. Burks is alleging that you cut his wrist. Did you know about that?
No, he said that I cut my own wrist.
Did you cut your own wrist?
I did. And that was because he had took my daughter once again. It's a reoccurring thing with him. He took my daughter again, and I was asking him to come back. And then I really, wanted to see her. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to just cut myself. And that's when I went to the hospital. They discharged me the next day, and they said that I was fine, that it was a surface cut and it was just for attention.
You were just there overnight.
Mhm.
Will you be taking part in that kind of action again?
No.
So you're asking the court to make you what the lawyers call,
Wait.
I'm sorry.
What was the date for that?
That date. I'm sorry, I do not have that date right now.
Judge, I could probably call my client because I think he knows the date. We actually have a photo if it's needed, but I didn't necessarily want to introduce it at this time. But I believe my client knows the date.
Okay.
So I could recall him briefly.
I just wanted to see how soon. What was it?
I
Pretty
believe it
recently, or was it a long time ago?
It was like
believe
October.
October of 2020, I believe, Judge.
Okay. All right. Go ahead, Mr. Nance.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna do, say, I know the child is 9, so it would have been sometime, and she said while she had the child, so I was gonna ask her if it was last fall. So thank y'all very much for clearing that up.
Go ahead.
So as long as you and Mr. Burks have the child, you're not concerned about the welfare of your daughter, is that right?
Right.
And you're asking for you to be named temporary sole temporary sole conservator, which is a fancy lawyer's way of saying you'll be primarily responsible for your daughter.
Yes, sir.
And he'll be the temporary sole possessor, which means he'll have the rights of a father and he'll have the rights to obviously see his daughter. Is that what you're asking for?
Yes, sir.
You're also asking for child support, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And you're asking for the visitations for him to be from 6 p.m. Friday to 6 p.m. Sunday, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And I think you said you're asking for it to be just him, or if somebody else comes, that he be with them, is that right?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, if somebody else comes, I would have to ask my mom, or it would have to be him and somebody else.
Well, that's what I mean. I'm using too many pronouns. You want him to come. You want him to come, no matter if he or other people come. You want him to come for sure.
Yes. Well, I don't want other people to come. There's no reason for other people to come. I do not feel safe around his family. So I do not want them to be there exchanging our daughter.
All right. And are you and your mother, are y'all prepared to do the same thing where you would be the one personally transporting the child if we had to do that? Would that be all right?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Pass witness.
Judge, just briefly, thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Andrews, I'm Glenn Wetzel. We haven't ever personally spoken, but I obviously represent Mr. Burks. And I just want to clarify the court. So the protective order that you initially sought, that has expired, is that correct?
Yes.
And you essentially dropped the protective order, is that right?
Yes, the day of court.
Okay. And so that's not currently pending. There's no issues with exchanges or anything like that. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And now you talked about, his family threatening you. Do you recall the exchange that you had when you met his mom at the gas station? Do you recall that?
Yes. She had
Okay.
got out the car and I had got out.
I'm gonna object at this time. All I did was ask her if she recalled it.
Please wait for the question, okay? Thank you. Sustained.
Thank you. So Ms. Andrews, at that time, you actually threatened his mom. Is that correct?
No, it's not correct.
You never said that you would put your hands on her if you ever saw her again?
No,
Okay.
no, it's not
Do you,
correct.
do you recall talking to Mr. Burks or leaving a voicemail with Mr. Burks where you were yelling obscenities and telling him that you would put your hands on her if you ever saw her again?
Yes.
You do recall
Yeah.
that? Okay,
I
good.
said that to Mr. Burks, not his mom.
But you were talking about his mom and that you would put your hands on her. Is that correct?
Yes, if she ever saw me again.
I appreciate you being honest. And as far as some other instances, did you impersonate a police officer, an Officer Snow, in order to try to get Paisley back?
At all. No, sir.
You don't know anything about that?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay. All right. As far as you do understand that Mr. Burks, he's currently on bond for a misdemeanor again with a case against you. You understand that, right?
Yes,
And you
sir.
know that as a condition of that, he's not supposed to have contact with you. You do know that of it, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Well, actually, I do not know that. I'm sorry. I did call his bond place and they said he's fine to talk to me.
Well, a bondsman isn't the court. Okay. So
Yes.
I just so you're clear, it would be appropriate for me to advise him to have somebody else make the exchanges because he's currently under a court order not to have contact with you. You understand that?
I honestly do not.
You don't understand that?
No, sir.
Okay. So when somebody's let out on bond for a case involving family violence, the court typically orders the other party or the defendant not to contact the other party. Okay. So I just want to make sure that are you aware that he is under that condition that he's not supposed to be making contact with you?
I was not aware.
Okay, that's what I needed to know. So if the court ordered exchanges, the court would most likely need to order somebody else to make those exchanges. Do you understand that?
I do.
Okay. And who would you be okay with doing the exchanges, or at least having James with somebody? Because who would you be okay with him doing the exchanges with?
His brother's fiance,
And what is her name?
Jordan Kowinski or something.
Jordan Kowinski. Okay. As far as your employment, how are you employed right now?
I'm on unemployment.
And how much do you make?
I believe 1,900 a month.
Around 1,900 a month. Okay. Any other sources of income, or is that the only source of income?
When I start school June 6th, I will be getting financial aid.
Okay. You're getting financial aid, but are you going to have to be paying that back?
No, I was in foster care, so I get the tuition back.
Okay. And do you recall admitting to James that you might be having problems with your home life with your mom? Do you recall telling James that?
We both talk about our parents and our home life.
Okay, but I'm talking about more recently, like things weren't going as well at your house as they were before.
Yes.
Okay. So you admit that there are some problems going on there and you may not stay there?
Oh no, there are no problems here anymore. It was just problems between me and my mom. There's no problems with the home life.
Okay,
But
so you're not planning on moving out or doing anything like that?
I do plan on moving out, but not soon. Not soon.
Okay. Do you know kind of when that would be?
Maybe July.
Okay. All right. I'll pass the witness, Judge. That's all I have.
Mr. Nance?
Judge, may I?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I don't mean to do that, Ms. Bedard.
Real quick, Ms. Andrews, is Paisley on Medicaid through you?
Yes, she is Parkland Medicaid.
Okay. Do you have any other children besides Paisley?
No. And she's been on my insurance since she was born.
You mean on the Medicaid or on private insurance?
She had foster care insurance when she was born. She was put on my insurance, Superior Health Star Medicaid. And then after that, she changed to, I believe, just the regular Star Health. And then after that, it was Parkland Medicaid.
Okay. But all of that you applied for?
Yes,
her.
ma'am.
Okay. And you testified that you cut your wrist in September, is that correct?
It was October 2020, I believe.
October?
Mm-hmm.
And is that often how you handle stress? You cut your wrist?
No, I had, before I was diagnosed with bipolar and depression, I was like age 15 through 17. I was going through stuff like that. I had not cut my wrist in about 2 years before I had met James. And he did know I was on medication before we met, but I hadn't self-harmed. I hadn't talked about suicide before I had met him.
Pass the witness.
Mr. Nance?
I just have one question, Your Honor. You asked me to ask you about a stimulus check that you wanted to ask the judge about a stimulus
Mhm.
check. What's your request on that, Madison?
Yes. I believe it was February or January. I cannot remember. It's on that picture. We had got the second stimulus check and it was $1,200. We had filed our taxes together, so he had put it in his bank account. I did not know he was in debt or anything, but he had sent me a screenshot saying that all the money went towards his debt. And so I'm asking for that to be repaid for the child support.
How did you file your taxes together? Are you married?
No, we filed jointly, not us, but separated, I believe. It was jointly, but not
Did
married.
you file as a married couple?
I believe so. but it wasn't married because it said jointly, and we had talked to the H&R Block people, I believe. And yeah, but the first stimulus check that we had got, it didn't go towards his debt. The third stimulus check was separated, but the second one went towards his debt, and he has not tried to repay me. He has not tried to do anything.
That's all I have, Your Honor.
Mr. Weitzel?
Judge, I have no further questions. Can I get a time check?
Yes, you have 10 minutes and 30. Make sure. No, you have 16 minutes, 5 seconds. Mr. Nance has 10 minutes and 36 seconds. And I didn't calculate for Ms. Bedard because she is efficient.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I didn't even try because I was like, she's not going to go 30, so I'm not even gonna.
I'd like to
Never
think
know.
we all are efficient. Judge. I guess, Mr. Nance, do you have any other witnesses? Or?
No, at this time I don't have any other witnesses.
There is a Jeannie Askew that is in the waiting room at this time.
Okay, Judge, would it be okay if I call her for rebuttal?
It is. And Mr. Nance, do you have any other witnesses? Are you resting?
I don't have any other. I'm resting at this point, Your Honor.
All right. I will admit Ms. Askew.
Flip my sign, Judge. There she is.
All right. Ms. Askew, can you unmute?
Okay.
All right, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you are about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, you may lower your hand. Please state your name for the record and spell your name.
Jeannie Barnes Askew is Jeannie, Barnes, Barnes, Askew, Askew.
Thank you, your witness.
Thank you very much. Ms. Askew, thank you for coming today. How are you related to James Burks?
He's my son.
And how are you related to Paisley Burks?
She's my granddaughter.
And have you made any physical threats or tried to assault or I guess, have you tried to assault Madison Andrews?
No.
Have you made any threats that you're going to assault Madison Andrews?
No.
In fact, has Madison actually made threats about assaulting you?
Yes.
Okay, can you please talk to the judge about the most recent incident when she threatened to assault you?
I went to take Paisley back to Madison after a visit at our home. When I went to the racetrack gas station on 635, Madison got out of the car. I think she was upset. I won't say I think she was upset because it was me instead of James that dropped Paisley off. Madison got out of the car. She was in the car smoking. When she turned around and saw me, she dropped her head. She got out of the car. She started tapping her hand, one hand on the back of the other, and she kept saying, "What the F is this?" using the actual curse word. And she said it over and over, coming closer and closer to me. I said, "Madison, I'm not going to do this with you, not today." And then she said, "What the F is this? What the F is this?" constantly hitting the back of her hand every time she said it. I knew that she was becoming more and more aggressive. So I then hurried around to the passenger side back door of the car. I unbuckled Paisley and I gave her to Madison, trying to de-escalate the situation because I didn't know what she was going to do.
Okay. And do you recall another incident where she called you and was saying that the police were going to take Paisley away? And do you recall an incident about that?
There have been so many. Yes.
Okay, well, I'm talking about, I think it was around March, where she called and said, I think James wasn't really communicating with her, because I advised him not to. Would you agree with that? And so, I think she was trying to get him to talk to her, and so she called you and said that, do you recall her calling you and saying that Paisley was she was being pulled over and the police were gonna take Paisley?
Oh, yes. So she was trying to get in touch with James that night, or I guess it was that morning, because all started maybe about 5 in the morning. I received several calls from her. I answered her phone call. She said that she had been pulled over, that the police were getting ready to take her to jail, and I needed to get James to answer the phone. I explained to her, Madison, I just don't think that you should talk to James. She again said James needed to answer the phone. The police were there. She was going to be arrested. She had marijuana in the car, and they were going to take her to jail. So go ahead.
Let me just kind of talk to you. I want to kind of point out something. So as far as she made multiple calls, is that correct?
Several. Yes, sir.
Just back to back, is that right?
Yes.
And was this a day when like James was supposed to pick up Paisley or anything like that?
No, sir.
There really was no reason to be contacting him because he didn't have Paisley, and he wasn't supposed to be getting Paisley that day, right?
No, sir.
Okay. And then ultimately, did she admit to lying about that?
She did.
Okay.
After I contacted the police department.
Okay. And do you have an opinion as to whether or not Miss Andrews is a liar?
I do.
And what is your opinion?
She is a habitual liar.
Can I object to relevance?
No, ma'am, you have an attorney.
Okay, sorry.
It's okay. You have an attorney.
Judge, may I continue?
Yes, you may.
Thank you. So she has a history of lying. I mean, if we're just being honest with the judge, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And isn't it true that y'all were contacted by some individual claiming to be Detective Snow?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and that was when
received.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I received messages saying that it was Detective Snow, that he needed us to call him back, and some other things were in that message. I'd have to pull up the actual message to get all of the details out of it, but it was not Detective Snow.
Okay, and how did you verify that?
Detective Snow came back to our home and he said it was not him.
Okay. So who do you think was doing the impersonating of a detective?
We eventually figured out that it was Madison using some type of app that could alter her phone number and call that way. Detective Snow took that information with him, and he said that they were going to follow through with it because she impersonated an officer.
Okay. Do you think James, obviously James lives with you, is that right?
Yes.
Do you think James is, you're his mother, you've known him the longest. Do you think James is a violent person?
James is not violent, no.
Okay. Do you think James would intentionally try to injure or harm Madison?
I know James would never injure or harm Madison.
Okay. Do you know of situations where Madison has actually harmed James?
I do.
Okay. Do you know her? Do you know her to be a violent person?
I do.
And how do you know that? Please explain that to the judge.
On several occasions, I've had to rescue James from his home because he was being attacked by Madison. He was trying to get out of the house. He's had bruising and things of that nature from where she's punched him in the face. hit him. His brother has had to step in and stop violent situations where Madison was attacking James. It's been several times. Once in my home, I could hear Madison attacking James and James saying, "Stop, stop, stop, stop."
Okay, and they were actually inside your home when that happened?
Yes, on the second floor in the room above my head.
Okay, now if the judge were to award James sole managing conservator of Paisley, they would be living with you?
Yes, sir.
And would James have a bed for Paisley to sleep in?
He does have a bed for her.
And if needed, you could even convert one of the other bedrooms into a bedroom for her.
Yes, sir. We have plenty of room.
And as far as care for Paisley, do you think James has family members there that can help to care for her if needed?
We do. We have a very big family, a loving family.
Okay. And do you think James, or if he needed assistance, would be able to transport her to any medical appointments or obviously any other important appointments that she would need to go to?
Yes, sir.
Are you concerned that if Paisley is left with Madison, that there might be some safety concerns?
I am.
And what are those?
You know, I am afraid for Paisley. When Paisley was with us, when this all first began, Paisley was a well-rounded child. She laughed, she played, she was happy. She was just a normal child. She went to live with her mom for a brief time after the separation, and she came back and she cries more now. She does not like for people to change her diaper. She pushes us away now when we go to change her under her diaper. The manner that she's doing these things, it's alarming because it just does not seem normal of a child her age to behave. She's been diagnosed with vaginosis since she's been back with Madison. She came to us and she did not get the antibiotics she was supposed to get, or they were not sent to us. Following that, she now has these black circles under her eyes. You know, she's different now. She really is different.
Okay. Have you ever heard her, Madison, make any threats with regards to if I don't have this child, nobody will have this child?
She did.
And where did you hear that?
She did. She said it to James over the phone while James had it on speaker. And she has said prior to, I don't know what I was doing, thinking I should have a baby. I don't know what I was thinking, you know, things of that nature.
Okay. I'll pass the witness judgment.
Is that me? Is that me, Judge?
Mr. Nance.
I'm aware I have 10 minutes. I won't use it all. Ma'am, did you express all these concerns? Did you tell CPS or the police? Did you express these concerns to them?
Yes, sir.
What'd they do?
They said that Paisley was safer in our home. We showed pictures of things that had happened. Madison actually had cut her wrist, was bleeding, and a couple of other things.
Next time
she would be better.
I'm going to object to responsiveness.
Just
Yes,
answer
sorry.
the question. You're fine. Just answer the question that you've been asked. Sustained.
Yes, sir. I mean, yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. Okay.
I think I just said, as a result of you telling them, what did they do?
They said she would be better off in our home.
Okay, did they file any charges against anybody?
No, not that I know of.
Did they arrest anybody?
I think Officer Snow took his information. He said he was going to follow up with it. We wrote out written complaints that we gave to Officer Snow, and I haven't heard anything since.
So to your knowledge, nothing's been done except that. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Now you realize it's your son that's got the assault case here. You realize that, right?
Ma'am,
Oops.
I think,
I don't know if we lost her or what.
Hello?
hello. Did you hear the last question? Ma'am, did you hear she's muted again.
Okay. Hello? Hello?
Yes.
Hello? Okay. I don't know what happened. I lost the video, but I can still hear you guys.
That's fine. Did you hear the last question?
I did not. Please repeat it.
Okay, that's fine. Go ahead.
Ma'am, you realize your son has the assault case here. You realize that, don't you?
I do.
And
Yes.
you realize he's the one that had a temporary protective order put on him. You know that, right?
I do.
And nobody has tried to keep the children away from Mr. Burks. Are you aware of that?
I am not.
Okay. In fact, it was you and your son who grabbed Paisley and wouldn't return the child to Madison, causing Madison to have to go to court and get the judge to sign orders. Is that true?
No, sir. That's not what happened.
He didn't take the child over to your house?
He did to protect her.
Okay. And then he came back over to talk to Madison and got arrested. Is that right?
That's not what happened.
He didn't get arrested?
He did get arrested, but that's not why he went over there. Madison had taken his clothes, put them on the porch, and told them that the neighborhood kids were going to take them. She put all of his personal belongings outside and told him to come get them off the porch. He went to the house, went to the porch. She had it all set up. When he went there to pick his clothes up, they were not on the porch. And just as he went to ask where his clothes were,
Judge,
he
we
opened the
object
door
to
and the police were on the inside.
Okay, next question.
How tall is your son?
He's 6 foot,
How much does he weigh?
about 220 pounds,
Is that larger or smaller than Madison?
smaller.
How big is Madison?
I know she's taller than Jane. I don't know her exact size.
Ma'am, you can't,
I'm sorry.
I know, you can't jump in.
I'm gonna pass, Judge, because I'm running out of time.
All right. Mr. Weitzel.
No further questions, Judge. I don't know if the AG, I'm sure they don't have any questions.
Yes, Miss,
No questions of this witness, Judge.
all right. Any other witnesses in rebuttal, Mr. Weitzel?
No, Your Honor. We're requesting
Ms.
closure.
Bedard, do you have anyone?
No more questions of any witness.
All right,
I have no witnesses myself.
all right. And Mr. Nance, do you have any other witnesses?
Judge, I'm inclined to recall Ms. Anders for rebuttal, but if you really don't want to hear, that's not necessary.
I think I'm good right now.
All right.
I'll just be frank. I'm hearing a lot of back and forth, and I'm concerned, and I'm on the fence of calling CPS myself. What I am going to do right now is appoint an amicus for the child. Next on my wheel just happened to be Trina Dorsey, and I probably would have picked her out anyway. I think it was probably Providence that made her next. So she's going to be appointed the amicus for the child, and I want this case set on a status docket probably within the next month, based on everything I'm hearing. I'm going to name the parents at this time joint managing conservators. The standing orders of Kaufman County are made temporary injunctions. I'd like this to be a week on, week off right now until I can get a report back from the amicus. We'll exchange on Fridays. Status, I'm looking at June 17th at 1:30, and that will be in person. And the child's residence is restricted to Kaufman and Collin County at this time. Let's see. Y'all, the parties are making basically the same amount of money. I'm not inclined to order any party to pay child support right now. I let me think.
Judge, will we get a report or do we need to, like, I'm making notes, but for temporary orders, but I didn't know if we were gonna get a report or if.
I've got something that I've been writing down. So, who's going to prepare temporary orders for this time?
I don't mind doing it, Judge, if or Mr. Nance wants to do it, I can do it either way.
Mr. Wetzel is the moving party, and Judge, June 17th at 1:30 is in person, Your Honor.
Yes.
And what will we be doing that day, Your Honor?
I'm probably going to be listening for a report from the amicus to find out how everything's going on. I usually do this in cases where there is quite a bit of conflict and the children are very young, just to make sure everyone's getting along. I'm hearing a lot of fighting, and there is a 13-month-old in the middle of this. And so what I'm going to be doing is most likely listening to the amicus to find out if there's anything that needs to be changed in week on, week off. I want equal access to the parents until then. And then if we need to adjust that at that time, we can. That's my understanding, and that's
Okay.
my goal.
But it won't be a contested hearing that the lawyers need to be ready to put on witnesses and evidence. Is that right?
Yes, potentially, unless there's an agreement. But I'm really going to be looking for direction from the amicus. It's kind of, I prefer an amicus in cases like this. And if there are any type of recommendations from her with, like, I'm just giving examples, like psych evaluations, co-parenting classes, things of that nature. You don't have to come, and here's the other thing, if everything's going well, I have no problem canceling it. If everyone has calmed down, it's going well, the child is being taken care of, I'm fine with that. But if it's not, and we got to come back, that's fine. All right.
Judge, as far as the exchanges are concerned,
I'd like it to be at a midway point, in a public place, whatever y'all can find midway. It sounds like, I didn't know where in Plano mom is living. And that way, I was thinking probably in the Garland area is most likely going to be midway.
like maybe the Garland Police Station.
Garland Police Station, I know TxDOT has an area over there. The Department of Public Safety has something in that area off 30 that might work too. Just some midway point. And at this point, everyone needs to be on their best behavior. I'm not going, Mr. Burks, according to his bond, cannot be around Miss Andrews. And so I don't want his bond violated at this time. And so the code says competent adult. So we're going to go with a competent adult, and everyone's going to behave and get along, and we're going to exchange a kid because you're going to be around a kid, and we're not going to have any issues. Anything else?
Judge, I
Yes.
fell off
Yes, ma'am.
there at one point because my signal went away. What time is the status conference?
1:30.
And you said in person?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there any flexibility? Is the court set up to where I could appear via Zoom and everyone else in person in the courtroom? And if not, that's
Well, we are tiny, and so it's one or the other, and
Gotcha.
that's just, and we're going back to in person mainly, with just a few Zoom hearings. So
okay. Thank you, Judge.
thank you.
Judge, are you going to reserve on a social study at this time, or just?
Let's reserve it. Let's give Ms. Dorsey a chance to get on the ground and talk to everyone, because it might resolve a lot of the issues. And just kind of letting you know how I like Dr. David Bell. for custody evaluations. If we have to go that route, that's usually who I suggest. If we need to go that route, that's fine.
Okay.
But I'd like Ms. Dorsey to, if you will, get boots on the ground first.
Sure, I understand. I believe that's all the, do we have a time Friday that you're wanting to do exchanges or?
I was thinking like 6 p.m. or whenever a good time for the parents. It could be 6:37. I don't want it too late because you got a baby that's got to go to bed. But you know, if everyone's driving to get someplace, I do want there to be enough time. I don't want people rushed.
Okay. I think that answers all my questions, Judge.
All right.
And Judge, when I fell off, you may have said things that I missed. I
Okay.
have no child support at this time.
Not at this time, because it sounded from the testimony, they make roughly the same. And right now we're going to do week on, week off.
Yes.
Obviously, if that arrangement changes, then we'll calculate the guideline. But
And no cash medical support, the
it sounds pretty
the
equal.
same.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And that's obviously that could change in June.
Mhm.
But for right now, that's what I'm thinking. Both parties are responsible for supporting the child. If either party does get access to health insurance, then she needs to be on health insurance. But until then,
Mhm.
we'll remain, just everything can remain the same.
Yes, thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Anything else?
And Judge, Ms. Andrews will forward the physicians and dentists, those healthcare providers that the child sees
Good.
for Mr. Burks' benefit.
Very good. Very good. Anything else?
I think that's all the questions I had, Judge.
Very good. Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you.
May we be excused, Judge?
May.